I learned a few things about our next inductee. Number one, I learned he's a humble man, because I looked at earlier in the evening and he was gathering up the plates at his table and took them all to the trash can. So much for being an inductee. He was an elite softball player who could compete with the very best, and had his coaching career not worked out, he could have been an outstanding country singer. But I'm pretty sure those are not the reasons we're inducting him in to the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, because he was an elite football player, center and linebacker, the two perhaps toughest positions there is. An outstanding player who helped lead his team to the school's first ever region championship. He was also an all-state player, and then took those skills to the next level as a coach, starting a program from scratch at Mount Zion High School in Jonesboro, and guiding that team to high levels, winning region championships and eventually a berth in the state championship. He led as a player and he led as a coach, and that leadership produced many memorable wins. And tonight he achieves yet another victory, a well-earned victory, membership in the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, Jackie Green.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you. Nice. Appreciate it. Do y'all know any Chris Stapleton over there? Well, I'd like to thank the board for this honor. It's really nice to come back home for something like this. I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the man that was responsible probably for getting me here, and that's Coach Dan Pitts. Coach Pitts was a great man, father figure to me. I lost my dad when I was 11. So discipline, that's where I got it. I'd also like to thank my family for being here, and I'd like for the green table to stand up and let everybody see my beautiful family. Would y'all stand up? Thank y'all for being here, guys. Some of my proudest accomplishments, probably, this is definitely one of them. I appreciate this award and being named Coach Pitts All-State Wall of Fame. That was another honor. I also got the big honor of beating 3 Hall of Fame members in this organization: Rodney Walker, Lloyd Bohannon, and Edgar Hatcher. And Edgar, I want you to stand up real quick. Edgar, stand up back there. Is he still here? There he goes. Edgar was at Monroe Academy, but I played him when he was at Southwest Macon. We played at Henderson Stadium. And we scored on that end. We kicked the extra point. My ball boy came back and said, "Coach, these little boys got our ball and ran across the street." We scored again, same end. Kicked the extra point. He come back and said, "Coach, they got our ball again." I said, "Time out, Mr. Ref. I love Edgar over there. Go over there and tell him we're going for 2 the rest of the game." I wasn't trying to run it up, but also being part, and you mentioned it, Mary Person's first region championship team and his second sub-region team in 68 and 69. Coach Pitts, I always felt I was his pet. And one of the reasons, because he usually treated me like a dog. But I have to admit that when we won to get the semifinals in the Georgia Dome, we beat Marist on a last-second field goal. And the first person that I met going off the field was Coach Pitts. He was so thrilled, not the fact that we won, but the fact we threw 3 passes all night. Now, he also gathered us around practice one day and said, "Guys, I want y'all to know, I read an article. You know what position player gets all the girls?" Of course, everybody said, "Yeah, it's a quarterback." He said, no, it's the center. So, I have to admit, I think he was right. Now, I was a student of the game. I watched college football. I knew the rules, and I knew them pretty good. Coach Pitt stopped me one day. The referees didn't show up. He said, Jackie, you think you can referee this JV game? I said, absolutely. I know the rules. So I had to get a couple of players, and I told them, y'all just stand on the side of the field, and you just call all sides. Anything else, let me handle if you see anything. Also, the center at Mary Persons, if any of y'all were linemen, you know that the center made all the calls. Gap meant everybody blocked down. Reach, everybody blocks the guy to the outside. Yes told the fullback that there was a man in front of me, and no meant nobody was in front of me. And those calls were important because it kind of told everybody what to do. So we're playing the region championship, playing Armurchie, 1968. We're at home, and we're low scoring. We were ahead, but not by much. And I noticed there was nobody in front of me. They were in an even front where there was no nose man, and the linebackers is kind of spread out. So Lawton Davis, our quarterback, nobody spoke in the huddle. If you played on offense, quarterback's the only one that could speak. So I grabbed Lawton before we got in the huddle and said, Lawton, there's nobody in front of me. We need to run the trap. So we ran a few plays, and finally there was a timeout. So Coach Pitts, I grabbed Lawton and said, please tell Coach Pitts to run the trap. There's nobody here. So Lawton goes out, comes back, and says, okay, Jackie. Coach Pitts said, this is for you. Bill Jenkins went 30 yards up the middle. Nobody touched him. Touchdown. So I'm jogging off the field, my chest stuck out. Coach Pitts grabbed me and said, it's a good call. So he knew that I had a little bit of knowledge of it. And after the JV game refereeing, he said, after my pay, I thought, maybe he'll give me $10, $20. He said, go to the concession stand, get you a Coke and a hot dog. But again, I felt I was his pet. He told me once, he said, you look like a marshmallow with toothpicks sticking out the bottom. He always made fun of my little legs. And one spring, he moved me from center my senior year during spring practice. Of course, I loved playing center. I was used to it. Well, he says, we're going to put you at tight end this spring. And I'm, oh. Well, I had good hands. I could catch. But have you ever been a receiver at Mary Persons? You're just a downfield blocker. That's about all you are. So we're working at practice one day, and I'm blocking down, double teaming, and he finally said, you can't bust a sheet of white toilet paper. He said, wet toilet paper at that. So he loved me. I could tell. And we ended practice one day. We run a little inside drill, and I'm playing linebacker, and guard comes out, and I knock him down, make the tackle. Next play, same thing. Guard center comes double team. I take one on one shoulder, one on the other shoulder. Then the next play, the center, the guard, and the tackle triple team me. Of course, I held my own. I made a pile. And I noticed Coach Pitts was back there grinning. So guess what happened on the next play? Both guards, center, both tackles, they all came down on me. And with that, he was laughing, and that's how he ended practice that day, on a funny note. But after football, I got to play basketball. I love basketball. And my junior year, we were fine, but I was the only junior starter, and our number 6 man was a senior. So they all left me. So my senior year, I may have to tell Mr. Gann up here that I accomplished something that I bet he never even thought about, but I was on the first and probably the last Mary Persons boys basketball team that went 0-20. We didn't win a game. We almost won one game, but Gordon Military up there, we had them. Of course, I shouldn't take a shot. I did miss. We lost, so, we just added on. People used to say, why in the world "Are you playing basketball? Y'all not gonna win a game." So I'm gonna show y'all why. Manchester, Harris County, Hogansville, those are some long, dark trips. I want the girls of 70 that rode that bus. Y'all all stand up back there. Y'all stand up. I think Trellis, you were on that bus too, so. But that's why I played. And then after basketball, of course, you know, Coach Pitts stopped me in the hall one day and said, "What are you doing after school this afternoon?" I said, "Nothing." "Good, you're going to Jackson and you're going to run the 880. I said, "How far is that?" "It's half a mile." I said, "Lord, I can do that." What I didn't know is we had a young man named Billy Lancaster and a fellow from Jackson that was the state champ and state runner-up in the 880. I didn't know that. I found out when we got there. So the gun shoots, and I said, I'm just going to keep up with them. It was about 20 of us in this race. So I'm running, keeping up with them for about 50 yards. And I said, "Woo, I didn't know you're supposed to sprint this thing." In PE, we just jog around the cemetery, you know. We didn't. So I'm running, and I finally said, "Heck." So I realized then, I thought I was winning because I'm in third place and everybody's behind me. When I finished, go to start that second lap, I looked to my left, and Billy and the Jackson guys finishing, and I'm over here with the 240 mark, you know, halfway around. But at that point, I said, forget them two, I'm winning this race. So I came in third. 2 weeks later, I had to go back. Same thing happened. So I really feel like I never lost a track meet. And lastly, I tried to play golf. I was on the golf team. I wasn't real good, but I was on it. You know, you count the first, I think 5 plays, 5 scores. First hole in Forsyth, I parred, which I'd never done before. So I get the second hole, I hit a great drive, and my second shot's 3 feet from the pin. I make a birdie. I'm 1 under after 2 holes. We're playing Jones County. Well, I topped my tee shot on the 3rd hole, which if you remember is a little dog leg. So I get to my ball, pull my club out, drop my club, it hits my ball and rolls about 10 feet to the left, putting me at an angle where I didn't have a shot. So, of course, I shank it into the woods, and about 10 shots later, I'm out of the woods. I look up. Coach Pitts is sitting in his golf cart on the 3rd hole. He's sitting there shaking his head. He said, What in the world? I said, "Well, Coach, you're not going to believe it, but I was 1 under after 2 holes. He said, "Well, now you're 13 over." So I had a 14 on that hole. Well, when I started coaching, I decided, you know, I was going to try to do just like Coach Pitts. I was going to try to treat my players like he treated us. And then I realized, I can't do that. I'm going to get sued. But in closing, I saw Penny a couple of weeks ago in Hall of Fame in Dalton, and I sang her song, which I won't sing for you today, but Randy Travis had a song that was perfect. If I had to do a song dealing with Coach Pitts, the verse is, "I thought he walked on water. As the story's told, only heaven knows. His hat seemed to me like an old halo. Even though his wings were never seen, I thought he walked on water." Thank you all. I appreciate it.